Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. My name is Sean, and today I want to talk to you guys about the announcement from the city of San Francisco that they're going to hire a weight neutrality expert in their Department of Health in order to get rid of all this language that tells the truth about how being massively overweight is incredibly unhealthy. And one of the reasons why we have to talk about this, obviously, is because I've been giving California and even places like the city of San Francisco credit where credit was due, because they're getting rid of a bunch of their woke representatives and they're moving in the right direction, specifically on the issue of criminality in those places. But you guys need to understand that San Francisco is going to San Francisco, California is going to California. So now they're bringing on board somebody who is essentially paid by Big Ice Cream in order to promote the idea that being morbidly obese is just as healthy as not being morbidly obese. And by the way, this is all at the same time that they continuously attack Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who I'm actually not a huge fan of, by the way, but on the issue that he's probably the best on, which is we have a lot of crap in our food, and that is making our nation unhealthy. So that's bad, that's no bueno, that's not good. But this morbidly obese weight neutrality expert that's paid for by Big Ice Cream, that's somebody that we definitely need to onboard into our Department of Health, and it's absolutely disgusting. Now, we're going to get into this, we're going to break this down, but before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay.
So the person we're going to focus on here is somebody called Virgie Tofar, and she is the author of a book called You Have the Right to Remain Fat, and she has published other works on fat positivity and body acceptance. She announced on her Instagram that she was hired to consult for the department, calling the collaboration a dream come true. Now, this is a self-described anti-weight-based discrimination expert, and she will be consulting on weight stigma and weight neutrality. Now, I'll talk more about her, but I think it's important for you to hear her in her own words so you can understand exactly what kind of person this is.
Hi, my name is Virgie Tovar, and I'm the author of You Have the Right to Remain Fat, as well as a few other books on fat positivity and body acceptance. When I think about what people might be surprised by or what you would think of when you think of eating disorders, I immediately think of being a kid. I was a kid in a larger body, a teen in a larger body, and also I'm an adult in a larger body. And the message I always got from my doctor was shrink your body by any means necessary. And it really felt like there was a sense of a don't ask, don't tell. So because I truly believed, right, and this is where I think the surprise comes in. I really believed that this was about my health. I really believed that my doctor was right, because why would I believe anything?
So a part of me still believes that a bunch of these different various movements will start off with kind of a solid, good core base idea that actually makes sense or is in fact sensible. And one of those base ideas is that you shouldn't just go out of your way to bully somebody because they're overweight. Like, that shouldn't be a thing that you do to random people on the street. So we're actually not going to engage in that behavior in this particular video, even though this woman is clearly and obviously overweight. But what we are going to talk about is what she's saying, the ideas that this person is expressing, because I think that is the most crucial part, and honestly, it's the most harmful part. So right off the top, she talks about how she's been getting advice from doctors throughout the course of her life that it's very important for her to lose weight. Now, she says that the doctors are implying that she should embrace some kind of eating disorder. I find that to be highly ridiculous, if I'm being perfectly honest. But the fact of the matter is, the reason they're suggesting that is because obviously this can result in serious medical problems. I mean, there's a lot of people who actually keep a log of these body positivity people and at what age these people tend to pass away. And this woman, Virgie Tofar, right at 42 years old, is in and around the age where, guess what? Yes, that is when these people start to kick the bucket, and this is due to the fact that, yes, it is incredibly unhealthy to be morbidly obese, despite the fact that they're denying it. But in addition to that, I also want to point out that she completely has disassociated herself and her own actions from the results and the consequences of those actions. When she talks about being an overweight child, she says, I'm a kid in an overweight or plus size body. When she talks about being an overweight teenager, she says, I'm overweight, or I was a teenager in a larger body. body, and the same is true as an adult. And one of the things that I think is more crucial to highlight, rather than the negativity associated with you just bullying people for being overweight, is the fact that these people are completely disassociated from the outcomes in their own life. They take no personal responsibility at all whatsoever, and obviously when you look at this person, when you look at how much weight she has gained over the course of the years, she is responsible for those actions. And again, on her Instagram, she is promoting all these different various ice cream companies. There's a Washington Examiner article about how she's sponsored by one of them, so she's essentially being paid by these companies that produce food that can result in people being overweight if they don't consume them moderately, and saying, have that extra cake slice, have that extra scoop of ice cream, don't worry about it. And I find it to be disgusting in every possible way. In addition to that, I will also point out that we could end up in a situation where this woman is promoting diabetes medicine because she is on her way, if she's not there already, to that diagnosis as well. And this is just not a great attitude. It's not a healthy attitude. And it's one thing for her to write her stupid book and have her influencer campaign on Instagram and on other social medias, but it's another thing for taxpayer dollars from the city of San Francisco, a city that, by the way, actually has half the obesity rate of the nation as a whole, so they're actually doing well and being more health conscious as a city, to promote her. Like, this is absurd. This is insane. This is what is often described as suicidal empathy, if we're being perfectly honest, and we should not be pushing that on our children or even on our adults because it's not good for them. You can make whatever choices you want. You can have an unhealthy lifestyle if that's what you enjoy, and you can rationalize it, but we shouldn't be paying for that through the taxpayer dollars and trying to change up all the language in our city government or in the city government of San Francisco in order to cater to these people. I mean, one of the things that I often point out and laugh about when it comes to the left is that they seem to think that when you have a legitimate problem, a better solution than solving that problem is to just change the language around the discussion of that problem because somehow that's going to make it go away. But if you want to hear more from this woman or don't want to hear more from her, guess what? I got more clips for you.
Diets and diet culture could not exist without fat phobia. So what is fat phobia? A form of bigotry that says that fat people are inferior, bad, and ugly. A lot of people don't realize that fat phobia is a form of bigotry. We kind of think that our attitudes towards fat people are based on concerns about health.
So this right here is a mashup from the Daily Caller under their DC Short segment, and if you want to watch it for a laugh, I definitely recommend you check it out in its entirety. It will be linked in the description of this video, like all the sources for all my videos, despite the fact that you guys don't find them and somehow blame me for that.
Fat people actually have less access to meaningful participation in society. I never thought to blame fat phobia, the bigotry ideology that positions fat people as inferior. I only ever blamed myself.
Fat phobia is an actual legitimate form of discrimination.
But the reason I like this particular mashup from the Daily Caller is because she is constantly and repeatedly using the language of discrimination to describe the treatment of overweight people throughout the course of our society, and she even says that the idea that overweight people are not beautiful is a form of this discrimination.
It aligns with other types of discrimination, like around race or gender or any number of marginalized identities. Our current cultural attitude is that the solution to fat phobia is for fat people to become thin people.
And I just want to point out a couple of things about this because we've highlighted this on this channel multiple different times, and it's also reflective of the immaturity of the American people sometimes, because essentially what a bunch of these different movements want to do is piggyback off of the civil rights movement, piggyback off of the idea of racial discrimination against Black Americans based on features that they could not control, the color of their skin, and try to apply that wildly inappropriately to all these other different various categories. The fact of the matter is, you being overweight is something that you could change in the overwhelming majority of cases. It's not something that people should just hate you for out of hand. I'm not saying anybody should be cruel to you or anything of the sort. In fact, I'm saying the opposite. You should probably not be cruel to people randomly on the streets for anything, let alone their weight. But the fact is, being black or being a minority is something that you cannot change. It is an innate characteristic, and the idea that we would take this unjustified discrimination from our past and apply it writ large to a bunch of different behaviors that have negative consequences to them is ridiculous and absurd, and honestly should be offensive to people who actually went through discrimination at any point in time in the United States of America. Now, you know me. I will call out race hustlers and all these different various people for pushing the idea of evil white racism around every corner and how it negatively impacts every aspect of black people's lives. I'll also call out people who say that black people just can't succeed in the United States of America and their lack of success writ large is due to evil white racism. But the fact of the matter is, they would be more likely to face unjustified discrimination than somebody who's overweight not being found attractive. And by the way, maybe I'm a little bit bothered by this because this person describes herself as a Latina, so she's using the embrace of half of my family, the Latin half of my family, in order to push her extra victim status. But the fact is, she's overweight because of the choices that she makes, and rather than actually working towards a goal, this person is deciding that she needs to change how everybody else sees the world. She needs to change your perception of beauty because you're the problem rather than her. And honestly, I thought we were pushing back against this a lot in our culture. We saw Victoria's Secret kind of go back to the aspirational brand with beautiful women rather than do the plus size stuff and all that nonsense. But this woman is dragging us back in that direction. And again, she's being paid by the taxpayer in order to do so. You'll notice that on this channel, I do not have a bunch of different body positivity videos. I haven't really covered this topic all that much, and one of the reasons why is because while it is annoying and while these people are promoting a destructive ideology, you're allowed to do so in the United States of America. But when the taxpayer is now paying for that destructive ideology, that's where I gotta step in. That's where I gotta point out that this is absurd, and I hope you guys understand the difference between making fun of somebody for being overweight and talking about this woman completely disassociating her life choices from its consequences and claiming that you're a bigot if you notice the linear progression of overeating and gaining large amounts of weight.
I am one of the many plus-size people and people of color who didn't get the eating disorder diagnosis or treatment that they needed because of things like bias inherent to the way that eating disorders are diagnosed currently.
There's a lot of ways in which thinness and fitness become a stand-in for whiteness and masculinity and heterosexuality.
So they have an image of her holding up a sign saying this is what a feminist looks like, and honestly, that is unfortunately very true in the United States of America. Not all the time, but on average, they tend to look a certain way. There tends to be an indicator that will let you know everything this person believes about politics, and then she goes into this idea that, oh, thinness, and it's a code word for masculinity and white supremacy and all of that, and I just want to point out that minorities, specifically black people and Latino people, are more overweight, more obese than white people in the United States of America. But if you were to be a white supremacist, if you were to be an evil white racist, the last thing that you would want to do is have these people lose weight and live longer. Conversely, if you wanted to hurt minority populations, if you wanted to hurt black people, if you wanted to hurt Latinos, and you wanted to do it in a very cruel and sick way, the number one way you would do that is to promote these bad lifestyles that will have them become diabetic, have them gain a bunch of weight, and essentially send them to an early grave. So the idea that the evil white racists are so evil white racists because checks notes they want black and Latino people to live longer, healthier lifestyles is ridiculous and absurd. And the converse explanation that she provides that it's actually better for these minorities to send them to their deaths early is also absurd. Again, this woman is being paid by the taxpayer. All her ideas are ridiculous, and the very people that she says she's trying to help, it's like she's actively going out of her way to hurt them. Now, of course, those are just my thoughts. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social medias, support me via support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the craziness of body positivity and the city of San Francisco. Till next time.